Oh, watch that. He's terrible.
Look at everyone filming, man.
Okay. Here's dramatic music. Here's what he saw.
Yo! Get him out.
Okay, Elijah, can we show that clip one more time? And we'll come up to this point and I want to talk about this. Here's a guy scared.
Look at everyone filming, man.
What did he see? It says. Now here it is. A little more. What is that?
Yo! Get him out.
Okay, let's freeze it here. Now, there's a number of things this could be. This could be indeed something artificial. This could be indeed AI. This could be a number of things. However, it's pretty hard to fake that whole scenario where you got people crawling all over seats and it's going down that avenue that it was going down. So there is something happening here. And many times when you're looking at this in the culture and you look at what's happening in the world, there is stranger and stranger things taking place. So what do? We have to discern it. We got to look at it through the eyes of the Spirit and consider what's going on. Looking at this, I believe there is something that's going on. It could be fake. You'll have to discern it, but there's nothing happening in the days we live in. So we see this. It reminds you a little bit of a previous clip that people saw of a lady on a plane, and she just began to say some pretty frightening things. Let's show this little piece. You might remember this.
I don't give two but I am telling you right now, that is not real. And you can see.
Now, I want to say something about that. They actually tracked this lady down. They said she started a podcast, but did you know they compared her likeness with this new lady on a podcast that they say is the same person? And this lady here, AI, says is not a match for the new one that is out, the new lady that is out. She has a podcast, and she said, oh, well, I just kind of was hysterical. I was going through something. But AI did a facial recognition on this woman in this clip, and the lady they said they found, that is her, and it's not the same lady. Kind of wild. There's things happening. So what is it that we're seeing? I believe, again, one, these things can be absolutely fake, but two, there is something trying to manifest. Things are trying to manifest. And as they're manifesting, we have to begin to discern the signs of the times. We really do. I have a strong prophetic sense, and my voice is recovering, so thank you for your prayers. I've had a lot of people reaching out and praying for me and saying, Joseph, we're praying, we're standing with you, and I'm so grateful. And of course, please repost this, share this everywhere, because we have a lot to get into. Also, I'm going to get into another point here right now, but this is still available for pre-order till June 4th. Demystifying the Prophetic is available for pre-order till June 4th. And I hope you'll get it. It'll help you. You can get it at josephz.com. Man, I'll tell you, that book is blessing people. And if you get it on pre-order, please take your photo with it and show it to us. We'd love to see that. Tag us in it and put your photo next to it on social media. We'd appreciate that because it'll get the word out. It'll help us, and it'll help people hear the voice of God. It's important. But there's so many things that are happening. It's wild. Speaking of unique things that are going on, there's this climate religion where they're worshiping climate, of course, and they're just trying to get all the world to bow the knee to the almighty climate God, and just trying to say it all changes and stuff's happening this way, and it's the most quintessential emergency of our time. There's nothing greater than what's taking place with the climate. Well, I want to show you a clip here, because I believe much of what we're seeing, since it hasn't been real in the first place, they're trying to induce. They're trying to induce what they have predicted all along, so then they can go to their fail safes, all for the purpose of control. Here's one way I think that they're doing it. Let's take a look at this next clip. Let's watch this.
Including the people who are actually living in the area, scientists have begun to conduct a secret experiment which involves shooting aerosols up into the sky in the hope of preventing global warming. Specifically, this is a solar geoengineering experiment right outside of San Francisco that's trying to create brighter clouds that would, in theory at least, reflect more sunlight away from the Earth. Here's how the experiment was described 4 days ago in the pages of Scientific American. Quote, "The nation's first outdoor test to limit global warming by increasing cloud cover launched Tuesday from the deck of a decommissioned aircraft carrier in the San Francisco Bay. The experiment, which organizers did not widely announce to avoid public backlash, marks the acceleration of a contentious field of research known as solar radiation modification. The concept involves shooting substances such as aerosols into the sky to reflect sunlight away from the Earth." Now, it really is worth highlighting that this plan was not kept secret by accident. It wasn't that people just did not notice the flyers, or they didn't hear the public service announcements or the social media posts. Instead, the researchers behind this experiment were intentionally keeping the local public in the dark in order to stave off criticism. And the reason we know this is because these researchers, they gave the New York Times exclusive access to cover the initial firing of these spray cannons from the ship. And in their report, here's what the New York Times wrote, quote, "The idea of interfering with nature is so contentious that organizers of Tuesday's test kept the details tightly held, concerned that critics would try to stop them. Nothing breeds public confidence more than changing the weather without telling anyone." Regardless, to give you a bit of the specifics, this plan of theirs involves spraying trillions of microscopic salt particles up into the air in an attempt to make clouds more dense. This will, at least in theory, reflect more of the sun's light away from the Earth. Quote, "The Coastal Atmospheric Aerosol Research and Engagement, or CARE project, is using specially built sprayers to shoot trillions of sea salt particles into the sky in an effort to increase the density and reflective capacity of marine clouds." Now, the secretive experiment is being led by researchers affiliated with the University of Washington, and the official name for this project, as was mentioned in this article right here, is the Coastal Atmospheric Aerosol Research and Engagement Project, otherwise known as CARE. And so, with this compassionate sounding name, alongside the fact that these researchers didn't bother to announce their plan to the public in order to avoid backlash, well, I'm sure that there's nothing to worry about. Although it is really worth mentioning that even among the scientists who think that this is a good idea, there's no consensus that changing the weather like this will not have unintended consequences. Quote, "Solar radiation modification is controversial because widespread use of technologies like marine cloud brightening could alter weather patterns in unclear ways and potentially limit the productivity of fisheries and farms. It could also lead to a catastrophic spike in global temperatures if major geoengineering activities were discontinued before greenhouse gases decrease to manageable levels." And by the way, it's worth mentioning that this plan did not come out of nowhere. For many years, Bill Gates, through his foundation, has been funding this type of research. And also 2 years ago, Joe Biden signed a measure into law which directed the Office of Science and Technology Policy to work alongside NASA on researching climate intervention. Quote, "An article in MIT Technology Review reports the crux of the federal plan is to release tiny particles into the atmosphere that, theoretically, could reflect enough sunlight to slow down the Earth's warming." That is, again, at the federal level. Getting back to this California plan, though, initially, phase 1 of the plan is to release these microscopic particles atop the USS Hornet Sea and Airspace Museum over in Alameda, California, right there in the San Francisco Bay. This phase will go until the end of May. Afterwards, phase 2 will involve shooting these particles on a pier about a mile offshore in a coastal environment. Then, if phase 1 and phase 2 prove successful, well, perhaps the next phase of this geoengineering scheme will be done right in your own backyard.
Who's behind it? Oh, Bill Gates. Yep, that's right. Pervy Gates himself. He's behind this, and many other people like that. Now, you got to ask the question, what's going on? Why are they doing this? This is not to save the environment. This is to induce what they've been threatening and predicting. So then they can say, see, we were right. We were right. Now, speaking of this type of global nefarious voice, Klaus Schwab. I don't know if you know this, but Klaus is stepping down. He says he's trying to save the world. World Economic Forum founder Klaus Schwab stepping down by 2025, transitioning to leadership by president, executive board. It says the WEF says its mission is to help improve the state of the world. By you will own nothing and you will love it, right? We will own everything. You will own nothing. So, two things. Why is Klaus stepping down? Number one, is he sick? Well, some people are suspecting that maybe he has the mark of the beast precursor practice serum flowing in his veins. And as a result, he might actually not be well. Number two, and this is the one I'm actually praying for, that the WEF and Klaus are losing to the right cause, losing to those that are standing up and saying, no, you're not going to have our children and our future. You move. So we could be seeing that happening, and he's stepping down. A lot to be said there. Now, speaking of world elites, a recent painting was just made of none other than King Charles. Let's take a look at this. Handy dandy color there. A lot of people have really speculated at what this really means, what it's all about, why it looks this way. And then when you look at a negative, people flipped it upside down. They've done a lot of things. But when you look at the negative, it's wild. You put it together, there's some interesting pictures that come out of it. Now, what's your takeaway with this? Well, could be very intentional, could be nothing, could be a lot of stuff. I just know this. Sometimes the Spirit is speaking in the middle of very interesting and public things. I think what's being said here is there's a nefarious thing or spirit at work, and we need to pay attention to it. Now, I have some prophetic thoughts and things I've been working through. And I want to say this. Friends, partners, those of you who've been with us, we were just on a 40-day journey. It's actually why I got so run down and really we push sometimes to get really exhausted and go for it. And my voice just decided to kind of give out for a little bit. And I'm reclaiming it, recovering it. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you for all your prayers. I'm feeling really good, feeling better all the time. And my voice is coming back, but I still wanted to be here. I had the Lord speak a number of things to me through this trip, and we're going to be putting together a program dedicated to our time at what we believe, and many people believe, is the resting place of Noah's Ark. In that same journey, I also went to the headwaters of the Euphrates River because, it's drying up in one area, and we went ahead of that further up from there. And the Lord just began to speak to me a number of things. And so I want to share that with us in a very special program we're putting together for you. And that'll be coming soon. And we're going to announce that probably in about a week or so. We're compiling all the footage. We got some great stuff to show you, and I can't wait to. So be watching for that. I have a number of things that's in my spirit today, and I'm going to go to the board because I want to show you what I sense, what I believe is happening, what the Lord is saying. So thank you for agreeing with me as I kind of walk into this, because I believe the Spirit is speaking something mighty. First of all, I believe there's going to be a rise in the solar flares narrative. We already saw some of that, but then there was a geostorm. I believe this is going to greatly increase. solar flares. They'll probably blame that on global warming. But solar flares are going to increase, and I believe that there's a greater agenda that will be used and leveraged. They will leverage this during a time where they say solar flares are causing X, Y, and Z, but there will be an agenda. Behind that. Now, I sense a number of things, and this is really important that we get into it. But I hear these words, and that he who has ears to hear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. It's really important. I believe God. Do you remember when I talked about a hidden character at the beginning of the year? Talked about this one. We'll be coming into the fall or midsummer. And right before a breakthrough could really be done with ease, I keep sensing these hidden characters. Particularly one. Now, I'm praying about it. Could it be that this will be a reveal in Chicago? We need to be praying. It's important. It's very important. But I believe there's things that the Lord is going to be begin releasing over you, over the people of God. Because I hear this. There was a beginning that took place in this 40-day journey I went on. And the Lord began to speak to me during this time about, this is really good, the resilience of his church. Okay? The resilience of his church. How vain the accomplishments of man are, and how building the kingdom of God is the only thing that truly matters for eternity. And it was a real perspective check for me. And I hear the Lord saying this, and this is what I need to get into here with all this. I powerfully heard this as I was praying about you and everybody that's here. And please repost this. Thank you for praying for my voice. It's getting better. I heard the Spirit say, we need to get in faith behind his word. And what does that mean? Because another round is indeed coming, another opportunity, another window, another time frame to step into the fullness of what God has. I see the Lord opening up another window through great difficulty, through great challenge. Because after all, it's a do-over year. But another round is coming, and I heard these words. It will not be to the demise of the righteous. No, no, no. It will be the sound of a roar in the earth. Exposure and collision is required. I see it's required. It will not be easy to root up and tear down, but there is a turnover of darkness that will unfetter the light. It's got to unfetter the light. In the season ahead, I see a loss of life, loss of power. And during this upcoming narrative, here's a big word I see. I see the Air Force will play a major role in the soon coming narrative. And the financial collapse has been set back. I don't know for how long. It might be right around the corner. But it's been set back again and again. We've got to keep praying so this doesn't break loose like tomorrow. Yet my word will come, and I heard this, the eagles. You have to discern this. The eagles, for they see and they hear. They see and they hear. Sonic. Because this do-over ultimately is leading to Ezekiel 37. The resurrection of the valley of dry bones. Here's a word for you, many of you. In 2 Kings chapter 13, there's the story of Elisha. In verse 17, he said, "Open the east window to the man." And then Elijah said, "Shoot." And he shot. And he said, "The arrow of the Lord's deliverance and the arrow of the deliverance from Syria, for you must strike down the Syrians at Aphek till you've destroyed them." In verse 18, then he said, "Take the arrows." So he took them, and he said to the king of Israel, "Strike the ground." So the king struck the ground 3 times. Now this is important. In 2 Kings 13, verse 18, let's get rid of this. It's a word for the church. He did a prophetic act. He said, "Fire the arrow out the window and then strike the ground." So the king got down, took the arrows, and he struck the ground 3 times. And then he stopped. He stopped. In verse 19, it goes on to say something. In verse 19, it says, then the man of God was angry with him and said, you should have struck 5 or 6 times. Then you would have struck Syria till you destroyed it. But now you will strike Syria only 3 times. And I believe the number of course, perfection or completion is 7. 7. That's what the Bible tells us. 7, number of completion. I believe the Lord is saying, strike the ground 7 times. What does that mean? It means with the abilities that God's given you to aim, to hit targets, to do what he's marked you for, you need to apply them in faith. 7 times, meaning till it's complete, hitting the target. 4 is, good, but 5's governmental and grace-based. 6, the number of man. 7, I believe, means completion. And I believe the Lord is saying it's time to take the arrows and strike the ground. After the direction has been pointed at, prophetically declared, we need to strike the ground 7 times in faith, meaning do what God's called you to do in faith for breakthrough. Don't lay back, because victory's coming. Now, I want to look right at you. The Lord is making a great way of escape, a great way of strength. I believe we're going to see the coming of a great day at great cost. I have so much more I'm going to get into, especially when my voice fully recovers, so I can really be elaborating and helping you and speaking what I sense the Spirit saying. Please be watching for this special broadcast we're going to do. You're going to want to get on text to join with that number, 719-719-3637. Text the keyword join. Please get on that. We'll give you an announcement. We'll put an event out soon. But I believe the Lord is rising up a spirit of boldness in many of you right now. The spirit of boldness is upon you. No fear, no anxiety, boldness. Because I don't believe this is the end. Jesus could return tonight. He could return this morning. But I believe in here, we have more time, and we're going to persevere, not unnecessarily, but for fruit, for breakthrough. Your best days are in front of you. I want to pray for you. I need to pray for you. And just before I do that, please, if you are blessed by the ministry and want to stand with us, we are building, we're doing a remodeling of our studios and everything that we can, because I believe God's calling us towards more media and even television, because I want to reach everybody we can. The days are short, times are more urgent, and we really need your help. And I hope you'll partner with us. I hope you'll sow into the ministry by going to josephz.com, where you can text the keyword give at the number on the screen. And we're so grateful to you. We will call you. You'll hear from us. And when in doubt about if it's us or not, just go to josephz.com. Father, I bless every person right now. I speak peace, strength, the ability to go forward. No fear, no anxiety, only victory and breakthrough and the peace that passes understanding, guarding your heart and your mind. It's about to get really wild, you guys. But Christ is in you, the hope of glory. The hope of glory. You know, this book, Demystifying the Prophetic, Rick Renner, Lance Wallnau, Gene Bailey, of course, Mario Murillo wrote a great endorsement in here. My dear friend Mario, Sid Roth, Joni Lamb, Pastor Greg Locke, Pastor Bob Yandian, Dr. Cheon, Kelly Copeland, Jim Baker, Mike Signorelli, Dean Sykes, Dr. Malachi O'Brien, Joshua Fierstein, Larry Sparks, Matt Cruz, Robert Hodgkin, my friend. So many people wrote in here. And I'm just so thankful. Alan DiDio did a special message. Todd Coconato did another special message. This book is a now word for right now. How to navigate what's going on. How to hear God. How to rise up against this culture and really know what God is saying. You can get it right now for pre-order still up until June 4th. We have a manual that goes with it that you can get separately. I encourage you to do it right now. And if you get it or you got your book already, please take a photo with it, tag us in it, and help the word get out. Because I believe there's a prophetic now word in this. We deal with how to find false prophets, identify them, deja vu, 4 types of prophetic flow in ministry, so much more. Rick Renner, Lance Wallnau wrote the forewords. I'm just so grateful. I hope you check that out. I know it'll bless you. I want to say to you, we're advancing, taking a lot of ground. And I'm going to be here for you through it all. Even when my voice is not as pretty as it could be, I'm still going to be here for you. And thank you for praying for us. Heather and I got really run down, and we're still kind of recovering from the 40-day trip, but it was worth it. I can't wait to show you everything that we recorded, and we're compiling a program so I can really show it to you. Jesus is Lord. I love you. I bless you. I have a lot more to bring to you. And I'll be recovered more and more in the next few broadcasts. But I just wanted to be with you today. It's things I see, and I'm just trying to release it out of obedience. I bless you. I bless you. Repost this everywhere, and please watch this.